I'm Senator Susan Collins. I'm here on ABC Channel 7 to introduce a very special program. During World War II, ordinary men and women left the comfort and security of home to defeat tyranny. Among them was my father, Don Collins, who, while a student at the University of Maine, enlisted in the Army. He fought at the Battle of the Bulge, one of the bloodiest battles of the war. He was wounded twice and was awarded 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star. Then he did what truly defines the greatest generation. He came home with gratitude and modesty, raised a family, and served his community. The stories you'll hear from local World War II veterans in their own words will present a variety of experiences. These heroes are united by the quiet courage, the devotion to a higher cause that saved the world. Thank you for tuning in. Most of all, thank you, veterans, for your service.
My name is Basil Hills, and I'm a World War II veteran. See, money back in them days was scarce. Going to school and, and things like that, going to high school and buying books and stuff. And, I signed up, and they sent me to Dr. Stevens and says, how old are you? I said, I'm supposed to be 18. He said, you ain't, are you? I said, no. He said, okay. He says, are you got any sickness or anything? I said, no. And then he said, you're all free to go. Take your paper here, I'll sign it and go back, and you're all in there, yeah. 16 years old. And when I signed up, I come home and I told my father, I said, I signed up in the National Guard. He said, what'd you do that for? I said, well, I could use the money. And jobs are hard. So he said, who's going to help me? Hey. I could never get over that. And we was in the upper house, upstairs in the upper house, and that's where we trained. And then in the summertime, we'd go to Augusta. Started out in the National Guard with my brother Glenn, and we see President Roosevelt up on the parade when he was up there. And then we went, in 41, we went to Portland, then to Florida. And then we went into maneuvers. Then we took a boat to New Zealand. And we was going to go to the Hawaiian Islands, but there was too many subs around there, so they decided to go right to New Zealand. And just as soon as we left land, I was sick 8 days on the boat, and that thing was going just like that, And I was up in the bow. If I'd been down in the bottom, it'd been all right. But I was in the bow, and I was sick as the devil. And I told Eli Wickham, I said, Eli, take your foot and just push me overboard. He said, I can't do that. I said, I would feel better if you did. Oh, I was terrible sick. And I was sick 8 days downstairs. He went and got a doctor. And then we went from there to New Caledonia. The second night, I think, we was on the land there. And Eli Wickham and I was foxhole buddies. And we took in, I says, let's dig in right here on this knoll here. He says, no. He says, if we dig in up there, we might get shot. Let's dig in the hollow. Well, that night it rained, and we had 6 inches of water in our hole. We had an 80-mile hike to Guadalcanal, and the Marines left and we took over. We got to the airport for a couple of months. Then we went from there to the Solomon Islands in New Georgia. And when it was on New Georgia, we took in pretty bad going. He was in the hole right next to me. And his buddy in there, he just went wild. And I grabbed him, grabbed him and took him back of the line, and I never see him after that. He was just wild. And that's why I got wounded there. It was a shrapnel, and then I went all up and down my leg and up in here and hit in my arm. It never got over that, and they hit me in a loose piece right there. Yeah, and it one, oh yes, and in my hand too, right there. It hit me in there. Yeah, I couldn't use that for a while. I went back to New Zealand to heal, and when I got all healed up, I went back to the company. And going back up to the company, we got about halfway up there, and they get a radio message. There's a water spout up ahead. And we all run out and looked, and sure enough, the water spout going right up in the air. And they said it's dangerous, so turn around and go back. So we turned around and went back for an hour or two, and then they radioed us that it was all gone. When I was going to go back to New Zealand, they had a plane ready for us, and we all walked up, and I was the last one. And when they got there, I couldn't get on. They was full. So I went back and got on board the ship. Well, when I was on board the ship, in come a Buckland guy, a very good friend of mine, and he said the plane crashed in the mountain, and they killed half of the people on board. See, his face was all burnt, and you know, God, it was terrible. Yeah. I was just lucky to get aboard the ship. Yeah. And I went back to New Zealand for a couple of months, and then from there, I went back to the company, and we went from there to the Big Island off Australia. I got a permit to go home. I was over there longer than a lot of the others, so I went back to the States, back home for a month, and then we went to New York, and we had a choice, and I took the bomb tour. We simulated a bomb like a war, and we did that, and we set off firecrackers, like, you know, for bombs coming down, and yeah. It's about an hour and a half show, I guess. Yeah, we was all over Maine, and Raymond was in the 8th Air Force. He was over in England, and after he made 30 trips, he could come home. On the last trip, 3 motors played out on the plane, and 1 motor was left. And the plane kept going down. And he said that he took in, thought they was going to land in the English Channel. But they just got across there when they see a field and landed. They all were safe, and they all got out and kissed the ground. We lost one of our brothers. He was killed in France, in Normandy. He got a son that he never knew his father. And my dad getting a notice that Richard was killed, you know. That's an awful setback. And then I suppose it hurt their feelings too when I got wounded too, you know. My brother Glenn, how many years did you spend in the National Guard?
36.
36 years? Yeah. quite a while, yeah.
My first job was a corporal. After I'd been there 2 years, he made a corporal on me.
Yeah. You got promoted to Master Sergeant. We went in, inducted in 41, February 41, and we got out in August 45. I didn't get it until we got out of service. When it was discharged, why then we got the Purple Heart and we got our badges and everything, you know. And I kind of wondered why it could have been a lot worse than it was.
Looking for your dream home? Contact a Next Homie today and see what's available right now. Sellers, get ready to get looped and get sold. With Next Home Experience, we have your buyers.
Come try one of our daily specials at Pat's Pizza in Hamden.
Tuesday, spaghetti or ziti with meatballs or sausage, only $5.50.
Wednesday, large one-topping pizza, only $8.50.
Thursday, get an oven-baked wrap for only $6.
Friday is fish and fries for only $8.
And Saturday, get a small one-item pizza with a fountain soda, only $8.
Bring the family to Pat's Pizza, 662 Main Road, North Hamden.
Hey, it's Eric from Green Bear 420. We've been in business since 2010 and going strong, so stop in and check us out. We specialize in glass art by over 100 local artists and even have live glass blowing. Plus, we carry incense, novelties, t-shirts, and hard-to-find items. We have tons of local products for the tie-dye wearing person in your circle of friends. Come see us at 531 Moosehead Trail in Newport. And remember, Green Bear 420, it's not just a store, it's a lifestyle.
CEM DP Porter Contractors has been in business for over 40 years in the Bangor area. We specialize in design build for commercial, medical, and residential. We can assist our customers with anything from lot procurement to help you find financing for your project, along with building maintenance and renovations. CEM DP Porter Contractors is currently hiring in Herman for multiple positions, including carpenters and laborers. We offer vacation, holidays, a 3% IRA match, and competitive pay. If interested in applying, please contact Jason at 207-848-7486.
Hello, Maine. This is Steve McKay. It's a wintry mix out there, but pockets of orange are standing out against the white blanket of snow throughout the state. Next Home Experience is listing and selling homes just like yours. Get looped and get sold with Next Home Experience.
Todos luego como. I was 10 years old. And already, I didn't know what it was already. He was talking to me, and Norman was both of the shoot balls and shiny shoes around Old Town. Alberta was one of the, he liked some shiny shoes. I didn't know that was already. I was talking to him, and all that. Next morning I went to Bangor, and that's why they shot Alberti. That's why I knew he was Alberti. I got his pictures later. So they drafted me. Out of 600, 400 rejected. Only 200 passed. They examined me. I just went down there twice. Up there in Old Town, in Bangor. I was only 17. You couldn't vote till you was 21. You take me, I can't even pick up a rifle. 118 pounds. I transferred to the 283rd, a special service. Legionnaire. Went across England, went across the channel. I remember all that stuff. It comes back to me. I was on this boat. It held 200 men. There's a ramp this way and a ramp this way. And up here. And they put the ramp down. Before we put the ramp down, they put the anchor out here and run the boat up on the shore of France. Then put the ramps down on the side.
get off the yard. And they were all fighting. And then after they got all the guys off the boat, they pulled the boat back off the shore with those anchors and cables. I got halfway down that ramp, pushed me. I went all off the side. Hit the shoulder, he's shooting. I still in the water. I couldn't swim. I didn't believe I was still alive. The guy was right next to me, the German. He crawling through, and they were shooting. He got up. I looked, and there was a snake like that. The snake scared him. He stood up, and they cut him with a cross. I know I was scared of the snake, though. But I went to help. I went through South Gay, you wouldn't believe it. After the war, come back in England, and I was going to send me home. I had 5 brothers. Me was the 6th. And they all got killed by one sister. I'm here. Thank God.
My name is Edgar Post, and I'm a World War II veteran. Well, I've lived around here all my life, and the Coast Guard station is right here. So I've seen the Coast Guard people come and go, so I know a little bit about their business. And this is my life. I've lived here. Loved it ever since I was probably 7 or 8 years old. So I've had my own boat since I was 15. And when it come time to go in the service, I figured I'd be more good to them in the Coast Guard than I would in the Army or somewhere else. So that's why I enlisted in the Coast Guard. I went to Boston and I enlisted there. I think it was in August 42. And they never sent me to boot camp, nothing. I ended up in the supply office on 40 Broad Street. It was a mimeograph room, no bigger than this here. And out in the other office, there's hundreds of typewriters where young ones was working on the typewriters. And what we did in the mimeograph room was type out forms and things that they had to use for their work. And the lieutenant that was in charge of everything, he would come in after, when it's time for him to go home. Nice guy, and he got talking. He wanted to know where I was from, and I told him I was from Maine up here. He said, it'd be nice if you got stationed up to Rockland, wouldn't it? I said, it'd be better if I got stationed in Whitehead. He said, well, make out an application and I'll sign it. So I made out the application, and probably it was only a week or so I was up here to Whitehead. And I was over there to Whitehead for, over 3 years, I guess, right there. I got married in 43, and it was sometime along about that time they sent me to that age navigation school. The ship was in dry dock at the time when I got on it. We was all ready to launch the boat, and he pushed the button that's supposed to do it. It didn't work. So he left and went down below to turn the power on. And that old bar began to go like that, and I thought, oh boy, and I jumped on the stern of the boat. I was going to jump out, but it was overboard. The outside, there we was steaming right along, probably it was 20, 30 feet down to water. And if I had jumped, nobody didn't know what happened. I never forgot it, of course, because I could have jumped overboard, but that had been the end of it. We was in a typhoon out in the Pacific. Wind blowed, and that old ship, she lay right over the wind blowing through the rigging. I had a top bunk, and it was a long deck like that. There's a square frame where the wires and stuff run. There's a rat in there. I had the top berth, and in the night I felt that rat jumped on my feet, and then he bump, bump. And I figured the next jump was going to come right in my face. And I don't know what happened to him, but that old rat, he still took off. They had those little jackhammers chipping paint, because they was painting the ship. Everybody pounding those jackhammers, an awful noise. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it stopped just like that. And I thought, boy, something's happened. But I didn't know what it was. So after a while, they started you know, all over the ship, but not like it was before. And I was halfway across the Pacific before I found out that when they stopped was when they'd got word that the war stopped. So, but I had points enough to get out, but I was on the way. We went to Eniwetok and Saipan, Tinian, Leyte, and went up to Amori, Japan, and we had a shore party, you know, so we could exercise a little bit. And the lieutenant that went with us took the party up through the town. I don't know just what happened, but there was a Dodge fire truck there. It's all burnt to pieces. Evidently it went through the war somehow. And then we got up into the town, and somebody got there before we did. The stuff was off the shelf, and it was all over the floor, everything. See that little box there? That right there, that box? Well, I found that in that, amongst that junk, and it's got 2 little drawers in the top of it, and it was all, I found it all except one of those drawers. I was looking for those drawers, and finally I found it, and I grabbed it and stuck it in there and looked around, and everybody that was in there gone. I was all alone. I looked, and they was going way down the other end of the street. Here come a couple of Japanese guys. Had the great long swords, and they was walking up the street. Here I was with that thing, and I guess I had something else in my arm too. I didn't know whether I was supposed to drop it and run or not. It was just, you know, right after the war. They never bothered me. I went right down. Every place we stopped, all those islands, ships, just the masts were just like trees, you know, so many of them. And they didn't have any idea, you know, what they was fighting against. If they knew, they might have changed their mind. But that's all we knew. All we had was just those few ships. Well, there was a kid that sent me a birthday card, wishing me a happy birthday and congratulating me for being a veteran and all this. And he wanted advice. And I told him, do what they tell you, even though it seemed wrong, but it was a part of the discipline that people need. And that was a part of joining the service. You weren't your own boss. They was your boss, and you should possibly do everything that they tell you. And that was my advice to him.
I was riding my bike just as nice as could be. I look up and here comes a car in my lane. I saw Michael hit the car. He flew in the air.
I was in a coma for 30 some odd days. I woke up and I looked down and what's my leg? He had 2 or 3 types of fentanyl in him.
Cocaine and heroin.
Yeah. It's a robbery of life is what it is.
People that are on drugs don't realize it's not if you're going to hurt somebody, it's when.
I'm a great study of when.
Don't cry, don't whine. Get yours where I got mine. At BB's Tattoo Company, 262 Moosehead Trail, Newport.
On the next Last Man Standing.
Ah, no. Get out. Save yourself. Literally, get out.
I need this bathroom.
Honey, it's morning. I have the newspaper. The sequence has been engaged. Things are about to happen here.
When a bathroom battle breaks out.
Apparently Eve has hidden all of the makeup in the house.
I can't go to school looking like this. Look at me. Don't look at me.
Mandy has to go undercover.
So this is what she really looks like.
Last Man Standing.
This afternoon, starting at 4 on Fox 22.
My name is Roy Ward, and I'm a World War II veteran. I loved the uniform, the Navy uniform, and then you get to travel a lot, you know, naturally. Yeah, aboard ship. I enlisted in the Navy July of '41. I was 21. I went to Boston, I remember, to enlist. And that's the first time I'd ever left home. I'd never been in a city of any size, you know what I mean? Waterville, Belfast was the largest cities I'd ever been in. It was quite an experience, really. I went through basic training in Newport, Rhode Island. That wasn't the greatest, I'm going to tell you. You didn't have time enough to draw a long breath. We had a chief boatswain mate. He was mean and a junkyard dog. We used to have to march up and down on the parade field. Man, it was in July, hotter than H. Man, yeah, you go from a boy to a man pretty fast. I was glad when I got aboard ship. It was the Mizpah. Yeah, I think it means I lead. It was a converted yacht, and they did convoy duty from Galveston, Texas to New York. I was first class, motor machinist mate. I was in the engine room. You use the engine controls and all that stuff. Wasn't all that difficult once you got the hang of the thing. Board ship is just like having a job. You did the same thing every day. What I did was important, you know, convoying oil tankers. Oil wins wars, you know. I guess you probably know that. Submarines wouldn't dare attack. It was a convoy around them. They knew they'd just eliminate them. They'd sink them, you know, drop depth charges on them. We call them ash cans. They had 2 of them on the rear of the ship, and they drop them on submarines. And the concussion when they went off would crush a submarine. Well, when it was rough, if the seas were rough, you know what I mean? And it was a little hairy then, you know. But other than that, it was, you know, you just accepted it. Had a lot of good friends, you know, and shipmates. I guess, like I say, you like liberty about as well as anything, you know, when you went ashore. Well, Pearl Harbor happened after I was in. Well, of course, everybody was shocked, you know, naturally. Yeah, it was like a sneak attack, of course. I heard about it on the street. Somebody told me, naturally, they'd been attacked. If I remember right, I was just on Liberty and walking, you know, around New York, and well, I knew right away that we was in trouble. Just as you heard it, you went back to your ship. You know, of course, you go wherever you're supposed to go, but I wouldn't be afraid to go. I think I met my wife. I was at a roller skating rink, I think, if I remember correctly, where I first met her. Yeah, we was roller skating. Yeah. And, you know, you grab onto a girl and roller skate round. I just happened to grab onto her. We hit it off and got married. I got out and I worked as an auto mechanic. I love working on anything mechanical, using your hands. And, yeah, if something won't run, make it run. I like the Navy life. And then there's something you got to be proud of. You're serving your country. They teach you discipline. They teach you to be clean. And proud of your uniform. I mean, once you enlist, it's up to you what you want to make of it. You know what I mean? You either do good or you can screw up. Would I do it again? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would. Because I love my country.
I'm Clarence Littlefield, World War II veteran. Well, when I turned 18, I took and enlisted. And I had one fellow that lived in Stockton Springs that went in the Army with me. But after we got to Fort Devens, I never see him again. Went to Fort Preble, down to Portland. Then we went to Devens. From there, we went to New Jersey. Then from there we went to Leavenworth, Kansas. That's where we took basic training. It was very bad when you was in Leavenworth there. Well, it was Fort Polk, and we almost got demolished. Those chiggers would chew the living devil out of you. The little teeny bug. That was the worst part of the whole thing. The bugs, yep. We was there 6 weeks. Yeah, wasn't very long. They didn't want you hanging around. They wanted to get you out of the country as quick as you could. Yeah. Then we come back to Jersey, and we get on a big old boat. Well, that was something different because I never been on the water before. We went down to Panama, up through the canal, back through there, and that's when we went to the Philippines. We was just outside of Manila. That's when Clark Air Base was there. I wasn't in the Air Force, but I was just a regular old foot soldier. And that's where we had the camp out there. I was a truck driver. Then I drove some of the big bugs around in Jeeps while I was there. I wasn't a foot soldier too much. You hauled the troops around, and if there's anything else you had to haul, the supplies or anything, that's what went on. Some of them times when you was going into them hills there in the Philippines, it was kind of a rough situation, really. Well, the roads weren't particularly good, so you had to be on the lookout all the time. Oh yeah, I took the big boys, I drove them once in a while. Colonels, I used to drive them around quite a lot. Because I wasn't just a truck driver, I drove Jeeps and everything. That was all occupational duty at that time. Because, see, the war actually wasn't declared over until 1946. Well, there was still Japanese occupation there at that time, and there was still stragglers still there. There wasn't no fighting, but they were still, they were still sneaking around, and you had to watch out for whatever was going on. Well, you were more or less confident, but you had to watch your back all the time, because you never knew where they were. We actually had them working in the mess halls and stuff. Of course, a lot of them, they're just like an ordinary person when you come right down to it, and they took and put them into those positions. But some of the other ones, the positions they had, you didn't know what to expect. I assume they was under surveillance all the time while they was there. I don't remember when we left there, but they give us a roundabout trip. We came back through the Aleutian Islands, which is kind of it should have been the Navy. Yeah. I know we was on a general ship when we came back. That was a big ship. The big old waves would come right over that ship, even though it was a general ship. The waves would come right up over the deck on that, really. But then we landed in California, and from there, I was on the way out. So from Leavenworth, Kansas, that's when they sent me home. I only went to high school 2 years, and then that's why I went in the Army. I was 12 in the class when I come back to go to school. When you went back, you had younger pupils that you served with, and there was only one other fellow that went back with me at the time, and he didn't even finish school afterwards. We come back. I did finish it. Well, back then, if you didn't have an education, you weren't gonna prosper too much. You needed the education to they could get out in the real world. And I finally graduated in 1951, still took care of my grandmother. I worked around these fertilizer plants we had around here then. Then I joined the union. I was a pipe fitter for, well, I've been 70 years now. And I traveled around a lot. I worked up in Madawaska. I worked on the air base in Limestone when they built that. I was down to Puerto Rico on the Ramey Air Base down there. Built pipelines and things. And since then, we have been through the Panama Canal going the opposite way. Because we went from New York down the coast and in through that way. But when we went to California and came the other way. So that was something different.
Here at Garrett's Auto Sales, we believe in fair prices, superior service, and always treating the customer right. We have a fantastic selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from, with some priced under $10,000. All our vehicles come with a complimentary 30-day warranty and can be seen at garrettsauto.com. Come see us at Garrett's Auto Sales, where we focus on you, the customer. We're located just 2 miles from the Brewer Walmart on Route 1A. We look forward to meeting you.
It wasn't just a little bit of soot on an old family photo. It wasn't just a couple of books soaked in water. And when you called Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration, you were not just another customer. That family photo hangs high yet again, and those irreplaceable first editions stay cemented in history. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest. Statewide commercial and residential services. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration.
Comfort Shoes and More will make winter easier. Next Grip men's and ladies' boots feature cutting-edge technology to make walkways a breeze. Corkers are made with interchangeable soles to conquer the roughest winter conditions. Navitec with the flip it and clip it spikes make you confident no matter what the conditions are. Bruce McDonald's trained podorthist will make sure the fit is perfect for you. See why thousands of people have trusted Comfort Shoes and More for all of their footwear. Take the drive today to Comfort Shoes and More in Newport. Portal Call in Bucksport is closing its doors after 17 years in business. All inventory is on sale, including Christmas jewelry, pajamas, socks, imports, including Harris tweed handbags, wallets and purses from Scotland, woolen scarves from Ireland, gloves, alpaca socks, scarves and hats. Also, all fragrance gifts, including Inish fragrances from Ireland, Man Bar soaps, hand-painted silk scarves, plush toys, sleep hoodies, and so much more. Perfect for Christmas shopping. Portal Call, 69 Main Street, Bucksport.
My name is Bob, and I'm a World War II veteran. My father wanted me to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a doctor. I ran away from home a couple of times, went out west to find gold, hopped the back of freight trains, got out to Nebraska, trying to catch a duck to make a meal. We were out in a wheat field and there was a culvert that ran under for the road. And I saw a goose go down in there. So I had two buddies. I said, you guys stay at the other end, I'll crawl through and chase him. And when he comes out, grab him. We got through to the other side. And I said, grab him. He said, yeah, you'll grab him. And I got out, and there was a cop ahead of me. So the policeman took us and sent us back home. You know, boot camp was just regimentation. I was just interested in becoming an officer, so I had taken a lot of courses, passed all the courses. When I was on a battleship, the Arkansas, in the North Atlantic, I was pretty much confined to motorboat diesel engines. You know, you started out as an apprentice seaman. We went from USA to Australia. You could say Australia was our home base, but we weren't there very often, just for fueling and repairs. It was a good thing that when I was on the battleship, I became friends with an ensign. So when we pulled into Australia, Brisbane, Australia, we tied up at the dock, and the officer on the deck, you couldn't see that clearly. He yelled, Johnny, what the hell are you doing here? He said, you were accepted at officer's training school. I said, no, I never made it. So he says, get your captain. So the captain came out. He said, where's this boy's papers? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I'll be down in the morning. Find the papers or you won't be an officer. Anyhow, I was accepted at officers training school, so they said, you can fly back tomorrow. Well, we were getting ready to go on a couple of invasions, so I didn't want to leave them on the ship alone. I got permission to go on the invasions first. Wasn't too happy when I first went aboard a minesweeper because I was an outdoor guy, and I liked outdoors in the fresh air. There's so many things happening. Unfortunately, we weren't blown up. We were sitting ducks for a Japanese sub. We had no firepower. Japanese sub could take us out really easy. Unfortunately, it didn't. And one time I had to cruise on the minesweeper. There was something very wrong. So we pulled into a harbor. I could dive, so I went down and looked at the propellers. There's a big rope wrapped around it. So it had to be removed. So I was the one they elected, or volunteered rather, to go down. We made a makeshift thing to force some air in, and it went down and eventually cut the rope. The guys on top side kept making noise and pounding stuff down there, so it scared the sharks away. Every night when we pull into a harbor, usually it was a new place. Even if it wasn't a new place, you pull into the harbor and anchor. Within an hour, shark fins circled right around the boat. And I don't know whether they were letting us know that was their harbor, get out or what, but it was quite interesting. The area that we patrolled was the Great Barrier Reef, about 1,000 miles long. They had individual cylinders for the big engines. The guy had the pulley hook wrong. I saw it right away, and I said, "Stop." The whole thing came crashing down. And one of my fingers, that one there, and when the weight came down on it, chopped it off. He fainted. They took me to a hospital ship. They stitched it up. Eventually we got to the end of New Guinea, the last invasion. After everything was settled, I asked my captain if I could go ashore and see if I could get a ride back to Brisbane, Australia, and then from there go back to the United States to officers training school. So I bummed a ride on a water buffalo, and they took me out there. I got there was nothing but potholes and wrecked planes. Nothing was taken off, so I had to turn around and come back. Slept on the ground that night. I got a ride back. When I got back there, my ship was gone. So here I am in the middle of New Guinea with a white uniform on. I had to get back to the United States. Slowly but surely, as the invasion progressed, I was able to get rides one way or another, and I finally got down to the tip of Australia. I asked the yard master there if he could give me a ride back to the United States. Come back to me, and he said, "Yeah, they'll take you." It was a banana boat. So in return for going back to the U.S., I gave them my labor to take me back to the United States. And so that's how I got back to the United States at officers training school. I immediately went ashore. I ended up as chief motor machinist mate. A brother, he said, "I'm going in the war." He idolized me, so he wanted to emulate me. That was the Korean War. He said, "I'm going in the war and fight the enemy like my brother did." That was the last we ever heard of him. We've never heard of him since. Don't know what happened to him. Tried to find the remains, but they never found anything. My wife was a school teacher. She was a good mother. Wherever I went, I got promoted right away. I believe in doing the best job you could do, and I do it. I was dedicated to my work. 1939 to 1945. Yeah, it was a good deal. You got to see the world.
In recent years, we have seen many major shifts in the housing market. Maine Val has the experience and expertise to analyze these changes to provide a clear and accurate service for all your real estate appraisals. From estate and tax planning, divorce litigation, and other legal matters, we offer services to all our communities across the state of Maine. You do not have to navigate this turbulent market blindly. Trust in Maine Val's extensive experience to make highly informed decisions. Contact us today at 573-3222.
From the land to the sea,
Chase's Family Restaurant is the place to be.
Are you looking for a place to unwind after a long day?
Then come check out our Hideaway Lounge.
With a bar that's both upbeat and laid back. And it's the perfect atmosphere for anyone who wants to unwind after work.
Or kick it up for the weekends with daily drink specials and a full dinner menu.
You can fill up on a good time any night of the week.
Thank you for being a part of our family.
Here at Chase's Family Restaurant.
Welcome to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop in Brewer.
And some call me the King.
There are RC trucks, cars, crawlers, and parts aplenty. There are planes, metal detectors, and gear galore. I have decreed that all people can book birthday parties with their RC vehicles provided for all. We have indoor and outdoor tracks and crawling courses available. Bring yourself, your family, and friends to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop, South Main Street, Brewer.
Friday nights are about to get wild for basketball fans. Friday Night Fast Break is your source for everything that is Maine high school basketball, highlights, and local analysis. It's the only show that hits every corner of Maine's hardwood hoop landscape, high school, college, and professional. Join us Friday night during basketball season for Friday Night Fast Break on Fox 22 News at 10. Brought to you by Coastal Auto Parts, your local Napa Auto Parts dealer with 29 locations, owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
My name is Harley Flynn. I'm a World War II veteran. I enlisted in the Coast Guard because I'd been around water all my life. Oh, I just wanted to go and do my part. I just gung-ho to go. When I was a senior in high school, that was my ambition to join. My father thought it was good. He thought it was good of me, yeah. My mother she was not so sure of that because so many people were getting killed, and so she didn't really like it. She told me I was too young. You don't know what you're doing at 17. And it wasn't long after I got out of high school, I was gone. And right away I was told to go to Boston. I went down to the induction center, took the physical and flunked it. I was 1 pound underweight. And he told me to go out and buy some bananas and eat as many bananas as I could. And he would make arrangements for me to have the test again the next day. I went down and passed. They sent me home. 2 days later, I got a call to report to Sheepshead Bay, New York, Coast Guard Station. It wasn't much fun because I went all alone. I don't think I'd ever been beyond Bangor. I asked somebody how to get down to Brooklyn, New York, to the Coast Guard Station, Sheepshead Bay. They said, take a BMT. So I went out on the street and I walked back and forth, looking for a BMT, looking up. It's a subway. And I did that until I figured I wasn't going to make it back down to the station by the time I was supposed to. But finally, down the street came walking a naval officer. Merchant Marine, and I asked him where and how to get down to the Coast Guard Station. He said, I'm going right by it. Let's go. So we went right by the Coast Guard Station, and I got out. And I felt about this tall, walking up all alone. Of course, we did a lot of training in boot camp, too, because both wars were going on. Marching, rifle drills, pistol drills, and then you had to do your duty in the PX. The Merchant Marine Academy was right on the side of us, and the Coast Guard didn't have a swimming pool. So when it come time to go over there and go swimming, I would go. I went the first time, and I managed to get around till I was the last guy, going up the ladder, then walking out on the plank and jumping in. Because they had people down there would grab you if you... I finally went in, and I told them, I can't swim. So they grabbed me, got me out, and I said, I'm not going back there anymore. And I never did. I found ways to get out of it. So that was my swimming experience in the U.S. Coast Guard. I had something bad happen, though, when I was in boot camp. We were doing parades down on the field, all standing, the whole company at attention. I dropped my rifle. Run around the field twice with the rifle over your head. I didn't make it. I made it around once, got around about 2/3 of the way around, I just collapsed. Boom. Oh, and I remember a helicopter. A helicopter was hovering right on the side of us, and it crashed, going on fire. We all ran right on the training field where we were standing at attention. Scared the hell out of me. We all ran. We thought that it was going to explode, you know. And when the war got over with Germany, I was on Times Square, New York. Don't you think there was something going on there? You were something special. It was amazing, to tell you the truth. It was just, for me, I was a seaman first class. I wasn't really on the ship long enough to get up the ladder that far. The ship was the USS Lorraine. I have a big thing in my bedroom showing where I went across the equator. It was a patrol frigate, 93. Its armament was 3-inch guns. I was on a 20-millimeter, that was my duty, machine gun. Being on the ship, that was one of my fondest memories. Being on a warship with guns. Yeah, I like that. We were out on the fantail of the ship. That's out on this way out on the stern. We were down off South America. We had a rogue wave hit us, and we were watching a movie out on the fantail, and I had taken a 5-gallon can of paint out of the paint locker to set on, and I had just grabbed the paint. I had it in my hand when that rogue wave, and I went like that, and I went up and come down, hit me on the forehead. And I've had a lump on that side of my forehead ever since. But I didn't report it because I didn't think it amounted to that much. But it's bothered me ever since. And we were lined up through the Panama Canal to go over to the war zone. And then the war ended. So instead, we went down to Brazil, Recife, Brazil. I think we stayed there 2 weeks. I did a lot of patrol duty down in guard duty down in South America. That was not fun at all because of the locals bothering you. I got scared one time. I was on the 3rd floor of a building, so I said, I got to get out of here. So I went down to the 2nd floor, and there's a big table in the middle of it. When I went up by, I don't remember seeing anybody, but when I went down by, there was about 4 or 5 guys sitting around the table. So I looked at those guys around the table, and I had heard the bad reports, how many people, sailors had been killed down there. I said, oh boy, I think I'm in trouble. I hit that sidewalk, and I was running just as fast as I could run, and they're after me. I know they're going to kill me. And I ran down the street. I ran about probably a couple hundred yards. And you go straight and go around a corner. And at that point, I didn't know where the ship was. I couldn't remember. And I went around the corner, and there was 3 English sailors. They saved my life. They really saved my life. Those people would have killed me. When we were going to decommission the ship, I served a couple of weeks on Ellis Island first. Guard duty. The war was over, and I decided I'd come home and go lobster fishing, because my brother and my father were doing it. And I did that for a little while, and I had a family, and I wasn't making it. And so I moved to Connecticut. Then I became a pharmaceutical salesman. That was one of the highlights of my working career. Brought the wife and kid down there. My father died. My brother came to Connecticut and coaxed me into moving back and going in the boat with him lobster fishing.